Welcome back to Breaking the Ice. Again, thank you so much for watching and listening and subscribing and notification buttons and the other things that YouTube and podcasters say that I always forget to say every episode. But thank you again. Today on Breaking the Ice, we have the hilarious Jimmy Dunn, a comedian from Boston. You know him from the sitcom The McCarthys. He's also a writer in one of our favorite shows, Loudermilk, and he is a New Hampshire resident in the famous Hampton Beach, New Hampshire. We talk about that. We talk about comedy, writing for Loudermilk, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and biplanes. We cover a lot. We cover everything. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Dunn.
If it was illegal to say stupid things into a microphone,
why must you be so stupid?
these guys would be doing life without parole.
Hey, everybody, we're back from prison.
Why do we keep encouraging this kind of behavior? It's the Breaking the Ice podcast with Josh Dolan,
You know, we could, go to jail for this.
along with Mike Hsu and Isaiah Moskahana Bonsa Monablitz Boskowitz, whatever the hell his name is.
What's up, Hsu?
What's going on, you guys?
Oh, what's up, man?
Living.
I am.
Trying to change my background, but it won't let me. Slut.
I try to do that too, but the cops, they know everything about you.
Oh,
That's
I
why
just want to put that Breaking the Ice thing on the back, and it won't let me do it anymore. So fuck them.
You don't want the cops to know that.
Is this going to be on? Fuck Zoom.
Actually, funny thing about a cop in this podcast.
Uh-oh. What did you do?
I didn't do anything. It's what someone else did. I was telling you about that, how we almost died.
Yeah.
I might not get this whole story out, but it was actually, it was the day I went to Worcester to see Hsu because he lost a bet and he was molesting a turtle in Worcester.
With an Islanders thing painted on his
I had to
chest.
follow through on my bet. You know,
Never bet on as long as Rask is around, never bet on them.
Never bet on hockey, period.
I know.
I know. Never bet on the Bruins because that's when they'll lose.
No, I think he's
No
right
one
about
knows.
hockey because when you bet on them, it's always 1.5 points. The Montreal Canadiens are one game from the finals. I'm going to throw up on myself.
They're not even supposed to be. They shouldn't be in the playoffs.
Anyway, sorry.
The Islanders weren't supposed to get this far either.
Right,
No,
it's going to
they
be the
weren't.
Islanders and the Canadians for the cup, and I'm going to puke.
It's all about hearts.
Anyway, sorry, Josh. Go ahead. So, did you hear about Josh's accident or almost?
No.
All right.
No,
Go. So you were with Hsu in Worcester.
Yes. And then I came home and my wife was like, hey, do you want to take the dogs and the baby for a walk? And to where we walk on this rail trail, which is across the street from where we live, it's a very busy road. And ever since, usually I don't like people stopping for me anyway. I hate being a pedestrian and I hate pedestrians. So I like to cross the street when nobody's around. And now with the carriage, people have this huge respect for the carriage apparently, and they stop immediately and they let us go. And on this day, this car stopped and waved us on. There was no car coming the other way. A car came from behind him, stopped. So I was like, okay, let's go. As we were crossing, there was a third car coming. And I was like, that guy doesn't look like he's going to stop. And he didn't, and smashed into the car that was behind the car that let us go, which smashed into that car. And now all of a sudden there's 3 vehicles exploding, sliding towards me and my baby and my wife and my dogs. And my wife ran across the street to avoid the cars. And I got the dogs out of the way. And she was like, should I call 911? And I was like, yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
You remember to take the baby with you.
I know. You said she ran across the street and you got the dogs. Where's the baby?
Where's the baby?
Baby was at home.
No, I thought you went for a walk with the baby.
We did. So she was pushing the carriage and she ran across with the carriage to safety.
Right.
And so she was like, should I call 911? And I was in a daze, and all of a sudden I heard a woman screaming and a baby screaming. And I was like, this is going to be messy. And I was like, call 911. And I ran over, and then we dealt with all the stuff or whatever. And cops showed up, the fire engines, the EMTs, and nobody was asking us any questions. And I was like, we kind of caused this. I was like, I feel like, we witnessed it.
The guy who didn't slow down caused it.
The third car back.
Yeah.
We're not in a crosswalk. Nobody asked. We didn't ask anyone to stop for us.
You're not at fault. It was the dude who didn't see the car stopped in front of him.
Yeah. So it wasn't our fault, but I still felt a huge amount of guilt.
No, you shouldn't feel guilty at all.
If we weren't crossing the street, none of that would have happened.
Oh, stop it.
No, Jesus Christ, Josh. Stop.
Shut the fuck up. You're fine.
Oh, my
God. Before we go any further, Mike, your microphone sounds like shit.
My microphone sounds like shit?
Sounds okay in your ears?
Yeah, it sounds fine to me.
You're crystal clear. He sounds muffled. Just throw it out there before you get an hour into this thing.
I sound all right, Josh?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Perfect.
Maybe I'm too loud. But
that's what it is.
No, you sound fine, Josh.
I do?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So we've narrowed it down to Isaiah's the problem.
You sound fine. He doesn't lick my balls.
We're using actual headphones and speaking into very nice microphones.
You wasted your fucking money. Coronavirus is over.
Yeah, it's over. Get some headphones and a microphone.
How about if we get together?
That would be nice too. But the whole point of why I'm telling this story is I walked up to the cop and I was like, hey, I don't know if you need any information from me, but we didn't cause it, but we were the ones crossing the street. We witnessed the whole thing. And he kind of looked at me and was like looking me up and down. And he's like, okay. And he was like, yeah, easy enough. That's fine. And he was staring at me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna end up in handcuffs, aren't I?" He looked like he was like looking through me, and I was like, "Why is he sizing me up?" And I realized he was looking at my shirt, and he went, "Is that the podcast Mike Hsu does?" I was wearing a Break in the Ice shirt.
Oh, great. I would be like, "Hey, that's great, but it's a policeman, so why does he know me?" There could be several reasons.
He's a listener.
Yeah.
So shout out Hollis Police. He had no idea who I was, but he's a big Mike Hsu fan.
All right. So what that whole proves right there is that people should buy merch.
Yes.
Yes. It gets you out of having to be a witness.
Right.
Can you check?
Get you out of court.
How many "Don't Be a Racist" cock T-shirts have we sold?
I don't.
Aside from the one that I bought.
You know what? I haven't even looked at the merch, so I have no idea.
A hippie chick up in Portland, Maine, sent me a picture of her standing next to her pot plant with a Mike Hsu with a mullet T-shirt on.
That's fucking great.
Yeah,
we know that we've sold one Mike Hsu mullet, one cheddar from summer of like last year, and one "Don't Be a Racist" cock T-shirt. So we're killing it on this podcast, Jimmy.
And a few people have actually asked me recently, about hoodies, and they're like, "When do hoodies go back up?" And I was like,
Jimmy Dunn is totally interested in what we're talking about.
I thought it was getting set up.
Thanks for Jimmy Dunn for coming on. Show's over.
Appreciate the appearance.
We can say that we had Jimmy Dunn on for 3, 2, 1.
Oh, he's back.
And he's back.
Okay.
There we go.
And we're all waiting.
We'll wait for. We're too nervous now.
No. Back to the hoodies. Our hoodies going back on breakingtheicepodcast.com.
They're actually the last time someone mentioned it to me. Was when Hsu was doing the Islanders thing in Worcester. Someone came up to me. I went home and immediately put hoodies back up on the website. I didn't know they were down.
I didn't.
Here, so Mike, for a guy who runs this business here, Josh doesn't look at the inventory, isn't sure what podcast is posted last, not quite sure. Do we still have sponsors?
I don't know. No idea. I have no idea. The baby has.
Right.
I'm
You're
just
a baby now, so it's like you don't know what's going on. You're not sleeping. Your whole world is ruled by, like that little dude in Star Trek that made the Tholian web.
No idea what that means.
Right.
But most importantly,
can you hear us, Jimmy?
I can hear you. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh, awesome. Okay.
There we go. All right.
Very much for coming on. We're not neglecting you. We just got to finish a thought because
we're just talking about dumb shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were talking about how Josh doesn't know what the hell he's doing with his podcast and nobody's listening and you don't have any hoodies for sale. And I went, maybe I should just check out of this.
Yeah, maybe I'll just quietly leave the room. Turn around.
This podcast will do nothing for your career.
Yeah.
Well, that fits right in with the rest of it, so we're good. I'm really good at that.
That's good. That's good.
Well, thanks a lot for joining us, man. We appreciate it. And
My pleasure.
you are not just a stand-up comic and actor, but you're a writer on like one of my favorite shows ever, which is Loudermilk.
Yes.
Come on, you're a big Loudermilk fan.
Huge.
We're all huge.
I love
Loudermilk
that.
fans.
That makes me so happy.
Dude, we had
because-
Jackie Flynn on, and I didn't know the show existed until Josh's father is friends with Jackie. So Jackie came on, and we're like, okay, this was before the 3rd season dropped on Amazon Prime, and we all went and watched it. Dude, my wife and I we're not caught up with season 3. That show is fucking awesome.
Thank you so much.
It made me want to go to AA, and I don't even have a problem.
So
for the fun, right? It just seems like a fun place to be.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it makes AA look like such a good time. Interesting and nice people who are really good at heart, even though they might pick on you or steal something from you. Yeah.
Every character is awesome, and I like how there's every now and then in the circle there's just this one rando that kind of pops in, and you're like, will that person have a line? And I'm at the point where Brian Regan's character had just what's his name?
Muggsy.
Yeah, Muggsy.
Muggsy's my favorite character. No disrespect to Jackie Flynn, but Muggsy is my favorite character.
He had just gone to his son's, meet the father day and told the kids basically, I fucking kill animals.
Yeah.
And they go back to the drunk circle, AA, sorry. And he's trying to explain that. And then didn't Jackie try to kill my neighbor's fucking beagle?
Yeah.
And it got weird, but here's one of those characters, the guy with the long beard that's sitting right next to Ron, sitting right next to Sam Loudermilk. He goes, I'll do it. I'm like, oh, he fucking talked.
Yeah.
Want to look like an accident, or do you want to send a message?
Yeah, that's hysterical. They take pride in like letting, they don't want just background actors just to be background actors. They love giving a funny line to one of the characters that you don't know. And that's one of the cool things is like you could just write a line and throw it in for anybody like that. But
right.
My favorite thing in that whole thing is when Muggsy goes, well, sometimes when you have a raccoon on your porch and well, your parents will call me and I'll come over and kill it. And then they go, oh, and then one of the kids goes, what kind of person kills a raccoon? He goes, that's a great question. A licensed and bonded exterminator. He's so good, man. Brian Regan's one of the funniest guys on the planet.
That is one of the big surprises to me because I'm familiar with Brian Regan and his stand-up, but the guy can act.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen him in anything else. If he's been in another movie or TV show, I haven't seen it, and this is my first time seeing him doing something other than stand-up. And that whole part where he goes back to where his wife is living and says, I want to be a better father. And he just starts crying. And I was just like, oh my God, that's Brian Regan.
Yeah.
I know. Right. He was breaking my heart.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Guess who wrote that episode?
You.
Your friend Jimmy and your friend Jackie and Peter Farrelly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
That's one of the ones that I got to write. So I'm glad you're digging it. I'm glad I found an audience because when it first came out, it was on this really weird audience channel thing on AT&T, and nobody could see it unless they had DirecTV, and it was weird. But I'm just glad that they got it to Amazon, and now all 3 seasons are out there, and hopefully we get to do more.
Did you have anything to do with writing when Jackie gets pulled over and is explaining to the cop? It was an intro to a show why he couldn't walk a straight line.
That's actually one of Jackie's stand-up bits that he's been doing a long time, and he talked to Peter Farrelly into letting him do it. Peter Farrelly and Jackie Flynn have a long relationship. Peter is a big stand-up comedy fan, and they became buddies a long, long time ago. But Pete loves stand-up comedy, and that's why that show is so funny because a lot of the writers in the writers' room are stand-up comics. A lot of the actors are stand-up comics. He knows that if you can do it as a stand-up comedian all by yourself, that you certainly can deliver a joke. And I've met some of the funniest people on the planet working on that show, so it's a really, really cool gig.
I've picked up on a few Jackie Flynn bits in that show, like that weren't even delivered by him, like Ron Livingston, when it's like, as the crow flies, how far is that? And I was like, this is a Jackie Flynn bit. Ron Livingston's doing it. And
I've seen negotiations on how much money you want for that bit in the writer's room too. So, and some of the other writers are. One of the writers, this guy Danny Smith, has been with Family Guy since day one. So he's just a brilliant writer. And there are a couple of writers that work on Larry David's show on Curb.
Another great show.
Oh man, and they're so talented, and it's the coolest job in the world.
So how do we get it to season 4? 3 are out. They've all dropped. I mean, what's the gauge for watching? Because it's so different. There are no ratings on Amazon Prime. That's all subscription based, right?
Yeah, they know exactly how many people watch, and they don't tell anybody. And
they do business like Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
And
but
Facebook.
They might tell the producers. Maybe they know, and somebody knows because people get paid based on how many hits or whatever. But it's all up to how much noise it makes. And last I heard that they were interested in maybe doing season 4 or 5, 4 and 5. And so hopefully, I've been down that road before too with the McCarthys, where you get fans making a lot of noise, and hopefully that would get people to make another season. But it really always comes down to money and numbers. And so
that's how it went with WAF too. So.
That's the radio business, man. Everybody that I know that's in the radio business used to be in the radio business. That's just the radio. That's the way it is. It's absolutely thankless, the radio business. And that's one of the beauties of my job is, if everything falls apart and there's nothing there, which there was for the last year and a half, I can still go stand at the Elks Club and tell jokes to people, and I'll still make some money. So
when you mentioned being in the writer's room, is it because this, for example, the stories I've heard about, say, this, like being on Saturday Night Live and getting you. So do you do the same thing with Loudermilk? Do you present things?
So with Loudermilk, I don't know how SNL works. I've read all those books too. I'm fascinated by how writers' rooms are run.
Yeah. And
generally, it's whoever's in charge of the show runs the room the way they want. Another great one is I read the book called Seinfeldia, I believe it is, which is all about how all the Seinfeld episodes were written. Wow. And Larry David's I get to meet him, and he's a brilliant guy, but he's crazy too, and how he runs his room. But with ours, there's a bunch of writers. We go in and pitch a bunch of ideas. And then there's 2 people that run the show, Peter Farrelly and Bobby Mort. And they sort of assign scripts and say, all right, well, I like this idea that Jimmy has. So Jimmy, go off and write that. And then I like this idea you guys have. Why don't you guys go write that one? And then, speaking for myself, Jackie and I wrote a script. We gave it to Pete. He liked it. Had a bunch of notes. I'd rewrite based on those notes. We punch it up. We change things. Probably did 4 or 5 drafts before Pete said, all right, now come sit with me and we'll go over every beat of this. And then when you think it's all done, now it's all done, then it goes in a pile with the other 10 for the season.
Oh, geez.
And then we all get together as all the writers, and we put every script up word for word on a board, and we go through every sentence and say, is this right? Can that be funny? Can this get better? So,
oh my God, that sounds like an extremely painful process.
It's
like
really,
having your
really
script
cool.
put up on a board and having other writers kind of pick.
Oh, that's tough, man. And when you're fighting for your jokes sometimes, and you got to pick your battles. But sometimes you're looking at 11 of the funniest people on the planet, and they're going, maybe Jimmy, we can make that one better. I'll tell you one that I really wanted is in the episode where Jackie gets hit with a golf club. The woman hits him in the head with a golf club. I wanted him in the courtroom the next day, and I wrote on his forehead, it says "Gnip," because it's ping backwards, And I didn't want to put a pin on it. I just wanted you barely notice it. Those are my favorite. Those are my
little
favorite
indentation.
Kind of yeah, I love it. And it just
it's like the dots of the golf ball, like the fucking Epcot thing.
Yeah.
What happened, man? What the fuck?
Exactly. But I wanted one of the boys. I wanted Muggsy to go, "What's Gnip?" Just leave it at that, And
that's got to be a Brian Reagan line too. What's Gnip?
Yeah, it's perfect. But
that episode was so good because it got so like it was so like. How everyone's fucking soft and pissed about everything these days. I'm just saying it was so good because they were just being fucking male chauvinistic douchebags on a golf course with douchebag golfers. And I'm just watching this go, this is good. This is really well written. You kind of got near it to piss off, and then you were gone.
Yeah,
I think the thing and correct me if I'm wrong. The thing about that one was like nobody was right.
Right.
There's absolutely nobody right about anything in that episode to me.
Everybody missed.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it that way, but I do. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
No one could ultimately get mad and finish being pissed because nobody really finished the thing that pissed me off. I thought that was I thought it was great because didn't the ball just barely roll up on the lady's foot and she flipped the fuck out?
Exactly. And it barely hit her. He goes, I apologize. You got hit by a vicious dribbler to the shin.
How many of these episodes?
I love Jackie's character. I love Jackie's character in that too. So Jackie's character in the show and Jackie Flynn, if you know him, it's the same guy. And, you know, Jackie's one of my dear friends, and I've known him for a long. I mean, one of my first stand-up gigs was with him a long time ago, and so I know Jackie really well. So I love writing. I love writing for Brian, but I also love writing Jackie jokes, and I love calling him. Go, I got 6 great jokes for you on this one. Like, that's awesome, man. Yeah, so I love Jackie Flynn.
When you're writing a story, but are you also writing for the character? You're not just coming up with like a story concept. You're like, okay, so I got to write some lines for Muggsy.
Yeah. So when
you like put yourself in his place.
100%. Yeah. So, but you start with the story, and then you find the obvious break, and you find the arc in it. And so you have an outline of the story and where you want it to go in each scene, and then you break it down to scenes. But then, yeah, you have the scene. So let's say you have the scene and you're in the room under the church. They're having their meeting.
Yep.
You know what Muggsy's going to say. You know Loudermilk's going to be the voice of reason, kind of. You know Jackie's going to not get it. You know,
right.
You know the young kid's not going to care.
Right.
And so when you have the joke, when you have the conflict, the story, whatever, you know what they're going to say. It's like any good sitcom. Like if you watch any good sitcom, you know the characters' unique voices. I love Everybody Loves Raymond. I think it's one of the best written sitcoms of all time.
So amazing. I watch it constantly, still nonstop. God bless TBS. So good. And just an absolute textbook class in how to write a sitcom, because you know exactly what the characters are going to say. One thing you never want to do is have a character say a line just for the joke. Right. But it doesn't fit that character.
Which you see a lot of sitcoms do, where it's just like you can see the joke coming a mile away.
Yeah. And we'll do that too. Like when we're ripping up other people's scripts, you go, would he say that? I don't know that he would say that. So I got one that I was working on where the priest does some stuff that the priest just would do. And I got called out on that one. Would the priest really do that? And I'm like, I don't know if you've seen the news, but yeah, probably.
That particular priest, who obviously has some kind of gambling problem.
Yeah. Smoking problem, drinking problem. He's got a fucking flask right there.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it. And here's the other, the other really cool part about Loudermilk is that, Bobby Mort co-created it with Peter Farrelly, but it's directed by Peter and Bobby Farrelly. And Pete Farrelly's just an amazing director that made Green Book and won, won everything with. Green Book's the perfect movie, but he also still has, when he wants it, that Dumb and Dumber sensibility too. So there's no joke that's too absurd for those guys. They'll listen. They might tell you, nah, dude, that's not it. But you could pitch anything to them. That's what I love about it.
Who wrote the pool episode?
The pool episode.
The girl that Loudermilk bashed. Remember? Sorry. Let's go to the point.
Lizzie Poole.
Yes.
Lizzie.
Lizzie Poole.
Very similar to that kind of emotional where because when he realizes what's the girl's name? The ex the addict
Claire.
Claire. Thank you. So when Loudermilk bangs Claire's mother, hello.
Yeah.
but they're listening to Poole, and he's like, oh shit, this is really good. And he's like, oh fuck, he destroyed that girl's career.
Yeah.
And then spent the episode trying to find her, found out that she was in town. And by the way, Sasso is fucking hysterical.
Sasso's a whole nother thing, man.
That's a whole. We'll get to him next. Good. But so who wrote that episode?
Best calves in the league too.
Right? Who wrote that episode? Were you involved in that, or who was really?
That's a good question. Pool? No, I didn't write that one. I remember when it got pitched. I remember the idea. And then I forget who wrote the script, but I do remember when we were punching it up that it was super tight. I don't remember changing a whole lot of that, but I do remember that script. I thought the episode was great, and that third season, they're writing the writing came with a lot more of Loudermilk. Sort of, there's some self-reflection now going on. Like,
well, it's good because he's the leader of a group that has to self-reflect, and when you see, like, he recognizes that he was all fucked up when he was writing, a writing critic for Rolling Stone, and he smashed this girl to nothing,
ruined her life,
her life, and just how they go through where she is, and he thinks she's in a homeless shelter, but it was a house she's remodeled. It's just really fucking cool, because someone's inside yelling, "It's just a little crack," and he's like, "Fuck!" He runs in, and it's like it's a DIY episode where it's like, oh, he cracked the mold.
I gotta
fucking go.
Classic misdirection, man. That's
dude.
Comedy writing 101, like it's the Three Stooges. Look over here. Look over here. Bang.
Right. Oh, dude, I just watched that episode last night. But then you get into the emotional part where when she tells the story, Lizzie Poole, of like, I had to fucking sell my guitar and all this shit, and he goes out and gets the. Sorry for those who haven't seen the show. I'm spoiling everything, but I love the show. Goes out and gets the guitar, puts it on the counter, and just says, "Don't quit the business." I was like, this is like good emotion on top of every other person telling everyone else to fuck off in the circle. It's great.
And that's like a perfect Fairley Brothers formula too, where it's like hilarious, but then it's also got so much heart behind it that you're like, I'm laughing, but I'm also like feeling so bad for this character.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, television's got to have heart. The first time my wife watched the episode, and I let her read a couple of the scripts, but the first time she watched the Muggsy episode where Muggsy screws up,
oh yeah,
she watches him about to screw up, and she goes, "Oh no!" Like she's
the same thing.
My wife knows all the tricks and has, she's married to a comedian. She's got no soul at all. And she's going, "No, don't do it, Muggsy." And I'm like, we got you.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian Regan needs some kind of an award for that performance.
I sure hope so. I hope someone notices it. I'm getting all of that. So I'm in the Writers Guild and the Actors Guild as well. So I'm getting all those for your consideration things. And I hope someone does a campaign for him to get him make him some noise. I mean, his turn in season 3 is just amazing. And that's the other reason why I hope we get a season 4, because I think, well, I don't think, I know some of the stuff that's been sketched out for season 4. And I hope he gets to do it, because
his relationship with the new guy is fucking great. Basically, it's fuck you.
Yeah.
Now talking about
calls him a little turd. I love the way he fights with new guy.
Yeah. New guy's a fascinating character.
Yeah,
yes, he really is.
So new guy is played by a guy named Ricky Blitt, who is a talented actor, but also a writer. And I want to say first 5 seasons of Family Guy, he was a writer on that.
Really?
Yeah, and Ricky's a funny dude, man.
And he really does look like a public defender. Like,
he just got that look. And another thing that you guys would love about him is he is so passionate about his Pittsburgh Penguins that
it's a real thing with him.
It's a real thing with him. That's really him, to the point where
so funny.
We had a couple nights where we were writing while last year or 2 years ago, while the playoffs were going on, and this is a guy that's like he's won awards for his comedy writing, and he doesn't show up because he's quote watching the game.
Oh,
and that's an excused absence with the guy. And I'm like, "Where's Ricky? Guys, watching the game." Well, I want to watch the game, yeah, but you're not him.
Is he born and raised Pittsburgh?
I think so.
You don't get to be absent to watch your team.
I think he's born and raised
around.
a Canadian. I think he's
but he likes the Penguins.
I think he's from Canada, but I think he likes the Penguins.
Oh, double whammy, huh?
Can you tell me if you wrote this line or who did? Because it was one of the funniest lines ever when he talks about being in like 3rd grade and he breaks both his legs jumping into a sandbox, and then he says, "I had to go to school in a wagon for 3 months. They called me Laura Ingalls." I almost peed. That is such a great line.
That's either Ricky. I think Ricky wrote that, or maybe Danny. I think it's either Ricky or Danny. But,
okay, because that was just.
I had to go to school in a wagon.
Yeah. Laura Ingalls. I was like, who's gonna get the Little House on the Prairie reference?
I love jokes that aren't for everybody.
Me too. Like so specific that.
Yeah, I love the throwaway stuff that just you get. So one of the things that makes sitcoms so, like sitcom-y, I don't know what the word is, but one of the reasons that sitcoms can get bad is when, they get sent up and everybody has to sign off on it. And just by sheer definition, if everybody likes something, then it's going to be average. You know, you have to let one voice kind of figure it out, and you have to throw jokes away that aren't. I do that in stand-up all the time. Like I'll throw jokes away that are just for, you'll hear 3 guys laughing, and I'm like, and that makes me happy that they got that joke.
Right.
And it's kind of like a nod. Like, I know you guys are still here. This is for you. And I also know you're sitting with your girlfriend and they'll laugh at the other stuff, but this one's for you.
Right. Well, I think a great comedian once said, the best way to fail at something is to try to please everybody.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And that's the problem with sitcoms.
Right. And that great comedian was Bill Cosby.
Well, thank you. Maybe you should have tried.
And good night.
Maybe he should have tried to please a few other people.
Yeah, like maybe himself.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It just.
Sorry.
I listened to every one of those albums, man. I was a huge Bill Cosby fan.
I knew him by heart.
Yeah.
I knew the whole Buck bit by heart.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. And the go-karts, all of it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Never swore in any
the
stand-up.
podcast. I'm pretty psyched.
Yeah, but also never swore on any stand-up, and he used to yell at comics going, you shouldn't be swearing, blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe you shouldn't be doing a few things too, Duke.
Right. Yeah. He called Eddie Murphy to yell at him about it. Like, hey, how about not raping people?
Yeah. Maybe you shouldn't be an amateur scientist, dude.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway.
All right, let's talk about Jim. You go ahead, Mike. I got a question about the next show you're doing live.
Sitcoms and like things, going formula and kind of getting boring and stuff. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch Kevin Can Fuck Himself yet.
I haven't. I read for a couple of parts on that show, but I haven't watched it yet.
It's pretty interesting what they do, because the way it started was so formula sitcom with a.
That's the girl from Schitt's Creek, right?
Yeah, Annie Murphy, who's brilliant in it, and it's definitely the All in the Family living room.
Yeah,
and there's a bunch of things in there that remind you of all these kind of like classic family sitcoms. And she's the wife that's the smartest one in the room, but nobody listens to her and everything. And then when she goes to another room and is alone, it turns into it looks like Ozark. Like the cinematography gets dark.
Yeah.
There's no laugh track. There's no music. And it's like her dealing with the stress of how like an actual sitcom wife is treated. If you watch like King of Queens or something like that, right? Yeah. And then how she's like, no one listens to me. I have dreams too. Nobody fucking cares. It fucks with your head to the point where when she goes back with her husband, they go back to the classic sitcom formula. It's cringy because you know what she's thinking now.
Yeah. And I haven't seen it yet. I read the script. I read the pilot script. I actually read for a couple parts in that show. And then I got this weird thing and I get to read for a lot of sitcoms because I've had that success with the McCarthys, even though it was only one season. They got me on the list now. And so I have this thing sometimes when I audition for something and I don't get it, I have this attitude like, fuck that show. And then it'll take me a while. I don't care how good the show is. It'll take me a while before
That's the masshole in you.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I'll watch it and go, most of the time I'll watch it and go, oh yeah, that guy's better.
That's pretty good.
Sometimes I'll go, they screwed up. But a lot of times I'll go, most of the time I'll go, yeah, right. But I have a process like
that takes us massholes a little extra to be like, fine, you're better. Fuck off.
It really does. It takes a while. And
I don't care if that guy's better.
Yeah. There's some movies I still can't watch. The guy I read a couple of times for the guy who gets fired right before they go off to sea in The Perfect Storm, and the whole thing was we want the authentic New England accent, and I am literally a commercially licensed lobster fisherman, and then they hire some kid from LA who can't do a Boston accent.
Right. Douche.
Fuck him. I should have put him on a boat too. You know what I mean? I still to this movie, and I love that movie. I think that's a great movie. But still to this day, when that scene comes up, I pause it. All right.
Right.
Now, see, I have the opposite problem. Anything people include me in, I'm like, I'm not watching that. They included me. There's something wrong with them.
So Nantucket Comedy Festival.
Yes.
Excited?
It's one of the coolest gigs in I don't want to talk too much about it because all the comics that, if any comic listens to this, they'll all be calling trying to get it. But so Kevin Flynn, not Jackie Flynn, not related, but another great Boston comic that I started out with. He started a comedy festival down there in Nantucket a long, long time ago. And the shows are great, and it's a really cool comedy festival. His number one rule is no agents, no management, no bullshit. So it's just comics.
That's cool.
And the comics run it, and there's no nonsense. In fact, 2 years ago, we physically removed an agent from the premises. My buddy Vic, God rest his soul, he threw the guy out twice, and he was a big agent too. He was like, "No, Vic's got this other act. No, none of you fucking agents are allowed in here. Jimmy, help me with this guy." He threw him out the building. But it's a great festival. And then the cool part is that after every show, it's like a week there. After every show, the people on Nantucket, the patrons of the arts, if you will, want to show off and have you over to their house for dinner, and everybody wants to they all want to have the best dinner. So we have some of the most amazing meals, and you go in these multi-million dollar homes.
Fuck.
And there's a guy got a 100-foot yacht that takes us out swimming off of that thing. And we certainly don't belong there, and it's a blast. It's really
a tough gig.
One year they had this couple had a seafood meal that like you just wouldn't believe, just stacks of lobsters, and
Jesus,
it was insane, right? So I'm telling Don Gavin, who's one of the best comics ever, an older guy, and I'm telling Gav about it. Gav, don't eat today. I'm telling you, wait to see when we go to their house, and they got a chef, and they bring out this thing, and it's the most amazing meal I've ever had. And I don't like seafood, and so I go, but you're gonna love it, Gav. It's gonna be don't eat today. I'm telling you, don't eat. So we do the shows. We go over there. Gav's like, I'm starving, and we sit down on this big formal thing, and they bring out, this is our chef, and he's prepared a special meal for us. And he comes out and he goes, tonight I have prepared special meal for all the great comedians. Tonight is Mexican food night. And Gav, down the other end of the table, goes, fuck you, Jimmy. I can't help it. The guy decided to go Mexican tonight. What are you going to do?
And we both took a sip of beer that was unrehearsed. That's just what we do.
Hold on.
What?
We are hiring a salesperson.
We are hiring a salesperson because I have a baby. I've run out of time. You run your own business. You've run out of time. Mike Hsu is back on the radio, and
Correct.
we just want somebody to make money off of us.
Well, I'll go this, Josh. It's really fucking simple. You watch the show, you like the show, you get the show, you sell the show. Go find people that like what we do. We all work at WAF. We have the same kind of vibe that WAF had.
And the same kind of numbers.
World.
So you want to make money.
Right. That's it. So listen, fuck. Can you sell? Can you sell? Good. Call us, text us, email us, DM us. Because if you think you can sell Breaking the Ice podcast, we're interested in you.
Right. So if you want to make money off of us, whore us out, whore yourself out, and then let's go. we'll do whatever
I'm sorry. Do you want to be a whore?
You were with Lenny last night. Every time I see Lenny Clark,
awesome.
he calls me a whore, and I don't.
Dude, I love Lenny. Lenny's awesome. Lenny's going to be on the show again. Can you sell Lenny? You fuck. Let's go.
Everyone can sell Lenny. That's why he's cast in every single commercial in New England. Him and Tony V.
Dude, Don, hey, listen. Can you sell? Because Breaking the Ice podcast is looking for you to sell us.
If you can sell, we'll pay you.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to pay you. We haven't even talked about the commission. Thank you. Dollar bills, y'all.
They're all crinkled.
Do you see the kind of money Josh Dolan has? He has $3 to his name, and he's willing to give you $150 of that.
So there is $3 here, but then it's like $47. I don't know. I'll count it later. I can't be bothered.
That doesn't help. Okay, we're done.
No.
Can you sell?
If you want to make some of this, nobody uses cash anymore. But,
Listen, we'll Venmo you your checks. Wait, I said checks. What am I, 90?
We're taping this.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
can you sell? No, seriously. Can you sell if you're passionate about the brand that Breaking the Ice is? If you watch these shows and you get it, and you think that clients will get it, we'll fucking pay you.
Exactly.
Josh is going to give you $1 or more.
Let's not talk price right now. It's good. It's a healthy commission. Now back to the episode.
How are you from Beverly and you don't like seafood? Maybe you got too much seafood.
I'll tell you exactly why I hate seafood. So I grew up in Beverly as a kid. My mom lived on Hampton Beach, which is where I live now. And I used to spend my weekends and my summers on Hampton Beach. When I was 13 years old, I got a job at the Sea Catch scrubbing dishes. That was my first job ever. And those dishes with the seafood just wouldn't stop coming. And for an entire summer, every day I thought I was going to quit, every day. And all the waitresses were these, the girls from UNH, and they'd come over and they'd pitch me on the cheek and go, "You're so cute." And I'd go, "All right, I'll see you tomorrow." Like every day I thought it was the last day. And I would ride my bike home and I'd get chased home by the seagulls and the cats. And I just learned to hate seafood from very young, and I never got over it. And I have a commercial lobster license. I catch lobsters right out front here, but I can't stand eating them. I can't stand the smell of them. So I give them away to my neighbors.
You'll sell them though.
I'll sell them, or I trade them. I generally will trade them to friends for, someone helps me out or whatever. But mostly I give them to my neighbors. So
that's hilarious that you said
nothing noble about
chased
that.
home by the seagulls. I thought living in Hampton, you were going to say I got chased home by the meth heads from Seabrook. But
right,
yeah, they get some of that too. Some of the brookers going, "Hey, bud, you got lobsters."
Chasing
I
you
just
down
hate seafood because it's disgusting.
I just scrubbed all that stuff for so much, and I don't want to do. I can't stand the smell of the stuff, and
I wish I liked seafood. I love the smell of it. I love the look of it, but as soon as it gets in my mouth, I start gagging.
I can't even be in my kitchen when my wife's cooking lobster. I gotta leave. I can't stand it.
When they said it was fucking Mexican night, you were psyched.
I couldn't be happier. I had like 40 burritos. And Gav kept going for me. So
you guys get to crash it. Lenny's got a place down in Nantucket.
Lenny's on the Vineyard.
Yeah,
he's the Vineyard. Okay.
He's on the Vineyard. Yeah, I've been there a few times. Lenny's of course one of the nicest guys on the planet, but Lenny's always been super good to me, and I've had some really cool experiences out on the Vineyard hanging out with Lenny and
shooting guns.
When I was a young comic, shooting guns and crashing on famous people's beaches, and Lenny's got the keys to everything on that island. He drives this big old truck around with a cigar hanging out of his mouth like Yosemite saying, "Get out of that way," And he's awesome,
riding his bike around now like a fucking madman.
He's insane, man. He's just, when he does something, he just does it to the extreme. But he came on this show. We were at his first Zoom because, beginning of the pandemic, everybody's locked down. I couldn't get a hold of him. I was like, where the fuck is this cat? And he finally picks up, and it was the Vineyard. I thought it was Nantucket. He's like, yeah, I'm down here on the Vineyard. I'm like, oh, you poor bastard. But
he was separated from Jen. They were in 2 different places for a while. And it was like, he's like, I'm fucking out here by myself. And I'm like, come on the show. And we had gone from in person to this. And he's like, dude, Isaiah, I don't know how the fuck to use Zoom. I'm like, just work with me. And it took like, we had no idea either. But the first, we'll have to go back in the archives. But he puts on the nice shirt. And he's like, you guys are my first fucking Zoom call. I can use this for AA. This is fucking great. And now he's fucking on every Zoom everywhere.
He's the best. He when I was a 22-year-old comic and I just started doing stand-up, he saw me somewhere and called his brother and said, you got to get him into the club. And
Mike's the shit.
Mike's the best. And I went all over the country opening up for Lenny and Vegas a lot. I probably never would have performed in Vegas if Lenny hadn't got me in there. And then at one point, I think I was doing 6 or 8 weeks a year in Vegas, and all because of Lenny Clark. And he would always every time I worked Vegas, I'd fly my dad out just to hang out and have fun. And Lenny was always really, really great with my dad too. So I love Lenny Clark. And
such an amazing person.
He's one of the reasons I get into comedy though, because when I first started, I would watch him command an audience and go, my God, man, this guy is insane. and these people would follow him to the stage as if, you know what I mean? He commanded an audience like nobody ever saw. And it was a different time back then because you never saw stand-up comedy on TV or Netflix or any of that.
Right.
It was just, you had to go in a dirty basement somewhere to see it. He was the ringleader, man. And just bigger than life. I mean, you guys know him, but Lenny Clark,
but he was on TV too. Like I remember when I was a kid, my parents somehow were getting me into giggles when I was like 12 or whatever. And I remember being like so starstruck by Lenny, which is funny like now where I'll see him anywhere and he'll be like, Josh, what's going on? I'm like, hey Lenny, what's going on? But it's like he's just always been like he treats everybody the same. And it's like, I'm like, you were on Hollywood Squares. You
were that guy on Rescue Me. What the fuck? You know Dennis Leary? What the fuck?
But there's so many comedians like that
he played himself on Family Guy. I mean, that's
right.
He played the manager of the Red Sox on Family Guy. How cool of a credit is that?
Yeah.
I feel like the Jordan's commercials got lost because it was like at the beginning of that fucking pandemic. But the Jordan's commercials in the past year that he was in, where the dude from Jordan's and him are sitting in the chairs, those are fucking great. And they didn't run them a ton. I'm like, bring those back. Those were very fucking funny.
I think two of the funniest things Lenny ever did. One of them was they put a green monster in New York City, like a.
Oh yeah.
You ever see that? He's the voice of the green monster heckling people.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
That was incredibly funny. And then the best performance that Lenny Clark ever put on was the concert after the bombing, and I saw him working out this set. He worked out the material about the guy who, they were hiding in his boat and they ended up shooting up this guy's boat, and just such a crazy topic to try and make funny.
Yeah.
But man, it was absolutely brilliant. I saw him working it out in the clubs and stuff. And then I didn't see it, but I heard a tape of when he did the concert, and it was that huge concert, that huge benefit concert. And he did that 10 minutes, and I heard the tape of it. It's probably the best 10 minutes of stand-up ever performed in Boston. Just legendary, man.
But like if anything happens, he'll just start ripping on it, and I'm like, I feel like this would take me like 2 weeks to come up. I saw him the night Michael Jackson died, and he went up and just his whole set was about how Michael Jackson died, and it was like I still quote it now. It's probably the only time he's ever done the set, but I remember he came up and the first thing he said was, "Poor Farrah Fawcett." Because she died the same day, but nobody was talking about it because Michael Jackson.
He's fearless, man. He's truly one of the best, and just so original. Because you could be a great comic now. You can come in and you can watch and you can learn. But when Lenny Clark started doing stand-up comedy, there were some old albums, but there was no formula on how to. He didn't have a set list. He didn't write. He didn't have books. He just went up there and was just the ringleader, man. And he invented this whole thing, the whole Boston scene. that whole Boston attitude, he really invented that and was the guy who started it and continued to be the captain for so long of it. And to the point where when I was a young comic and comics like me, when we would travel to comedy clubs around the country and you'd walk in and they'd go, "Where are you from?" And you said Boston, they'd go, "Oh, this guy's the shit, man. He's gonna be the real deal." Because of
Lenny.
Yeah, because Lenny and those guys, if they wouldn't let us be frauds,
You couldn't fake it.
You couldn't fake it. You watch guys like Jackie Flynn and Kevin Flynn and Gavin and Sweeney and Noxie. Those guys would just joke. And if you wanted to even get in that realm, you really had to have your shit together. And so,
and especially like the national headliners that would come into like Nick's Comedy Stop thinking they were hot shit, like Billy Crystal or something, because they just started a movie and they'd be like, "All right, well, we're going to put these 4 guys before you. We're going to put Rogerson, Gavin, Tony V, Lenny Clark, and then..."
Yeah. And they would leave literally shivering, going, "I don't want to go back to Boston again." And let it go, "That's right, you fuck, get out of here." And I love that about it too. It's like, there was such a Boston attitude to the whole thing. It was closed. It was our thing. And
don't look at us.
Lucky. Yeah. And I'm just lucky that I was a young kid that they let jump into that thing when it was really firing on all 8, man. It was just an amazing thing to see and to start doing stand-up watching that stuff. It's just,
and it's amazing that like guys like Bill Burr and Joe Rogan and like Bob Kelly, like they always talk about guys like Rogerson, Tony V, and Lenny Clark, like looking up to them, and then to be able to like know them, and it's just like it's a weird connection to like that entire comedy world, and they don't act like they're at the level that we all have them at. I remember one time I was at Giggles and Mike Clark was like, "Hey, do you mind if Stephen Wright sits with you?"
Yeah.
I was like, what? Why are you asking me that? I felt like just being like, "No, I don't sit with people who have been on Carson. I don't."
Right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Jimmy, I love your website, jimmydunn.com. Hold on, ready? Jimmy Dunn is a very funny comic actor. Well, no fucking shit. Did you write that?
Was that your mom?
I wrote that. I can't write about myself. I hate writing about myself.
You go to the actor tab at the bottom, just in case you wanted to know. Yeah. Jimmy Dunn is a very funny comic actor. Go fuck yourself.
What's the status of the Hampton Beach Comedy Festival?
We got some good news yesterday. We can't officially say it's on, but I think it's going to be on this year.
Nice.
We're just waiting. We're working out some venue stuff. One of the issues on Hampton Beach right now, and same issue I guess everybody else is having, is nobody wants to go back to work. And they can't find help for the hotels and the restaurants and the bartenders.
Yeah. It's
stop the unemployment.
It's not just that, because they did that up here. It's also, here's the thing. There's an ice cream place down the street that sells a $38 lobster roll, and they're paying kids $7 an hour to scoop ice cream. So quit fucking whining and pay them $20 an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pay me half the lobster rolls. I hear a lot of millionaires up here complaining about how they can't get work, and I go, well, you know what, dude? I wouldn't bend over that ice cream thing for $7 an hour either.
Right.
I did when I was 13, but 13-year-old kids don't want to work anymore.
So are they having trouble outfitting the casino ballroom?
No, the casino ballroom's good. That's a different. I mean, they're. Although I did see that they were, they're looking for help there, but that's a really cool. So I live just a few miles down the street from the ballroom, and
that's a great building.
It's an amazing.
I feel like Sal Lapoli bought that. Do you know Sal Lapoli?
He did buy it. Yeah.
Okay, Lawrence guy from I worked with him years ago, and he did some real amazing work in Lawrence with some of those where the mills are on the rivers, shithole, and he renovated all that. And I know he had his fingers in on some property up there, and they opened.
He bought that whole strip of a lot of that property.
And the slide, right?
The slide is gone. They tore it down about a month ago.
Wow.
Get the fuck out of here.
Because 4 people a year were going down it. And
last year only
4 people a year were dying on it too. So.
So it was a little bit of a hazard. But
have you seen that water park documentary?
No.
The one from New Jersey?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I hear it's crazy.
Oh my God, it's so good.
What's it on?
I forget where I found it, and I forget.
Is it disgusting?
It's called Class Action Park.
Yes.
Right.
Hold on. Class. Hold on.
It's about
Watching
a guy in New Jersey. He opens up a water park and a thrill park.
Okay.
And he opens up a fake insurance company to insure him.
Unbelievable.
He just keeps making the most dangerous water park in the world, and people are getting creamed. And he's paying kids, like, they build a water slide with no science behind it. He's paying kids $50 a piece to go down it just to see if it works.
Jesus Christ.
It's so good. Like, you watch halfway through the thing, I'm going, this has to be fake. This has got to be one of those mockumentaries, you know?
Right.
This is a Borat job. No,
right.
It's real. And there are a couple comedians, I guess, that were in the documentary that grew up going to this park, and one of them worked at the park. But that's just reminded me of that. It's so.
And then
good.
come to find out, he designed the Geronimo at Water Country.
Jesus
Christ. But he had some rides like that where he had one that 3 people shot right off of. And they just.
That's how that Hampton Beach one was. It had a jump.
Tweak the turn a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how people didn't die in Geronimo. I worked at WHEB right down the street from Water Country. We used to do all sorts of shit there. And I went there and did beach reports one time. And I'm like, all right, we'll try all this shit. That one, you get out and you literally come off the fucking slide. There's nothing in front of you except cement and your face. And then you shoot down. And I'm like, the fuck is this? At that point, I'm like 21 years old going,
but that
I'm never doing that again.
One next to the ballroom was basically Geronimo with a jump in the middle. and someone actually went off to the left on one of them.
Yeah, the Salisbury one too. I mean, they're all.
There's a lawyer right off to the left going, you'll be okay.
You ever go to Jamaica where they have the cliff jumping thing?
Oh,
no.
So in Jamaica, they have it's called Rick's. It's a bar built into a cliff that leans out over the water, and so you drink all afternoon, and then you jump off a 50-foot cliff.
Can I just go over my notes from today? These are the things Isaiah has to look at later. Class Action Park.
Yeah.
Kevin can fuck himself.
Yeah.
Definitely revisit Green Book, Farrelly Brothers, thumbs up.
Oh,
and then Jamaica drinking, cliff jumping. Thank you, Jim.
Yes. Rick, I believe it's called Rick's Bar. I think I got video somewhere of me doing it.
If I leave these notes around, my wife's gonna be like, "What the fuck were you doing?"
It's your Pornhub search
all the time. I will wake up in the middle of the night with a joke idea, and my wife will come down in the morning to make coffee, and she'll go, "What the hell?" Like, just be 3 random words, like pepper and onions burp, and she'll be like, "What is that about?"
Right? Who's Kevin, and why can he?
I do that to myself. Like, what your wife's reaction? I'll write something down the next morning. I'll be like, "What the hell was that?"
Yeah, I do that too. I wake up in the middle of the night going, brilliant, this will be 7 minutes. And then I'll write it down on a piece of paper, go back to bed in the morning. I'll go, yeah, no, that was nothing.
That was a bad idea. That's why they give us so many chances to get it right.
Yeah, exactly.
And what live shows have you done last year was shit? What was the first show you did after the pandemic, and how was that?
So the first show after we really took it seriously here at the house. My wife works in the healthcare industry, so I had to be super, super careful as well. Yep. So I was on full lockdown. I didn't do any shows. I didn't feel the need to. I also didn't feel like audiences were very comfortable. So I was just pretty comfortable knowing that I'm going to fill up a notebook and I'll be good to go when we get the green light, you know? So the first show I did was a couple of weeks ago. A young comic in Boston named Andrew Della Volpe. He's got a weekly show. I want to say it's a Tuesday night down at the Bell in Hand in Faneuil Hall.
Okay.
And he gets great audiences in there. And I just wanted to go knock some dust off and see if I could do it. And I just went up on stage with a whole bunch of new stuff I had never done before and had a blast. And It was a gorgeous night. Took my wife, we walked around the North End, people were outside eating dinner, and I just felt like, all right, the world's going to be good. We're going to be fine. Everything's going to be great. And then that was 2 weeks ago. And then this past weekend, Tony and I did our Two Boston Guys show at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium.
Awesome.
And that was packed with people and giant laughs. And just like it was before the pandemic. And that was one where I was just like, all right, good. We can still do this and people are happy and fun. And I firmly believe that it's going to come roaring back. You just watch the amount of concerts that are being put on.
They're all being announced all at the same time. There's concerts like popping up everywhere. And I went out last Saturday night, and it's weird because I haven't been like, the thing I missed most was going out and seeing bands. And so I went out to see this band at the White Eagle here in Worcester. And so we get out of the car and I'm walking up there and I'm like, I forget how to do this.
What?
It was weird. It was like, okay, I pay at the door. The guy puts the wristband on me. Should I touch him? It's okay. I mean, you know, it's, and then you walk in and it's like,
guy when you go in?
No,
you know,
what?
That kind of club.
Is that
I mean, you can't get in unless
how you get up front?
that's how, right. That's how
you get backstage,
right?
He's been at home too long, Jimmy.
I know. And it's just kind of like, you know, this place is packed, you know, and I'm kind of like moving through the crowd. I'm like forgetting how to do this, you know.
You forget how to be a sardine.
It's you forget. I've totally forgot how to like hang out and watch a band. And it came back to me after about 4 vodka tonics.
Yeah. But, like I completely forgot how to get thrown out of the House of Blues. That used to be a common thing for me, and I completely forgot.
They early on.
We were talking about the Casino Ballroom down the street here. I mean, they got some amazing.
I miss
shows.
watching people roll down those stairs.
Well, we used to throw them down the stairs when I was a kid. My kid brother was the head bouncer there for many years, and so I never formally worked there. I performed there a bunch of times. I was the opening act for a few different bands, and then
they only hire amateur boxers, right?
Oh man, my brother and those guys were during the heyday, and it was they would just throw people out, and now they can't be as obviously as violent. Everyone's got a camera on them, but I was opening up for some band. I was really young and I was bombing. It was not going well. Oops. And this guy stood up and says, "You suck," and he throws this plastic table tent at me, just misses me, and I go, "You know what, sir? Where are you?" It's right here. You suck, and I go, "You're 100% right. Tonight is not my best night, but here's the bad news for you. My little brother is the head bouncer of this establishment.
Oh, jeez.
And in about 10 seconds, you're going to hit steps 12, 7, 5, 3, and then Ocean Boulevard." And on command, my brother just grabs this guy and
oh, God.
I look at my watch. I go, "Got 9 minutes left. Anybody else want to tell me how I'm doing?"
You're amazing.
You want to talk back to me, or do you want to see the monkeys? Which one is it?
Yep, exactly.
They're putting some good shows. Sebastian's showing up there. He's late July. Sebastian's doing 2 shows at the Casino Ballroom. I know the guy that runs the place, Andy. So they're really.
I think Andy's an awesome dude and
such a great guy.
He got some amazing shows going on up there, and so I grew up sitting on those back stairs, listening to all those shows, and we would just go down there, sit on the back stairs, and listen to the Ramones and listen to the Pretenders, and listen to it was super cool. And now, I can hop on a bicycle and go down there and watch a show. So
is Sharky still running the place?
He sure is. Yep. And before the pandemic, I saw the Mighty Mighty Bosstones down there, and that was just an awesome show. I've probably seen the Ramones there no less than 20 times. And,
oh shit!
And sometimes from the Light Tower, which is super cool. Back when my brother was working there. But there's some awesome shows coming up, and I'm looking forward to George Thorogood this year. I can't wait to go see that show.
He was always a staple.
Yeah, him, George Carlin, and then like Cinderella, Rat. Yeah. You can always count on them to.
George Thorogood hasn't changed his in-between song pattern in 30 years.
Why should he?
Right? He just comes out, does the same stuff, like literally goes, "And away we go." And I know all of it. I've probably seen him 50 times. But
that's when you know it's summer, when George Thorogood and Steve Miller came through.
Right.
It was summertime.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And that's part of, I'm seeing all the announcements now, and I walk down there every day and I see the posters and go, all right, man, George Thorogood's coming to the casino. The world's getting back to normal.
All right. The day after the Jimi Hendrix Experience. I can't wait to get down there for them.
Right. I'm looking at the shows that are coming through there. Ann Wilson of Heart, Dirty Heads, and Sublime with Rome, The Struts.
So much weed at that show.
So much weed.
God. Yeah.
A lot of weed.
Tesla's
awesome. Yeah.
Brit Floyd, Buddy Guy, Cheap Trick. I feel
it used
like
to be my favorite start of summer was like me and my family used to stay at my grandfather's house in Hampton, which is like 2 miles from the beach. And like, that's when I knew it was summer. I'd go to the casino ballroom and see that giant calendar on the door and be like, all right, which comedian am I going to sit in the parking lot for and listen to their jokes?
Yeah, they close the doors up now, but you used to be able to sit on the bottom of those stairs.
Yeah.
And you could hear it. I mean, I've done a lot of sort of pirating shows from the loading dock, you know.
Why not?
I got a buddy that's got a place in New York City right down the street from the Beacon, and he'll go out of town or he'll go to LA for a few weeks and he'll just leave me the key and I can go down there and hang out in New York. But I remember Tom Petty did a 5-day residency at the Beacon, and the tickets were stupid. It was like probably $800 to get in.
Jesus Christ.
Well, my son and I went over there and I gave the loading dock guy a bag of hamburgers and said, I'm not trying to get in. I just want to sit right here on the loading dock and listen to the show with my son. And the guy goes, you got it, man. And so every night we went over there with a bag of burgers and some shakes, and we listened to a different Tom Petty set. It was, and you couldn't see it obviously, but you were sitting right there. You could hear it loud as clear as day.
That's what always I did at the casino ballroom with Chickenfoot, because Chad Smith was the drummer for Chickenfoot, and I was such a huge Chili Peppers fan. I remember standing in the parking lot, the doors were open, and I was like, I can see Chad Smith's hands.
All right, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I was at that show.
Were you?
I'm a Van Halen guy, and that Chickenfoot show was the worst show I've ever seen in my life. Ever.
No, really?
That was one of the worst concerts I've ever seen.
Oh no!
I mean, it was. I was just focused on Chad Smith.
4 master musicians who clearly couldn't even hear each other.
See, I saw them. I saw them at the Middle East, and they were fucking phenomenal.
Really,
they were so good, man. It was like what Van Halen used to be.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of loose, but still fucking just a tidal wave of sound. I thought they were so fucking good.
I was too focused on Chad Smith and why Joe Satriani won't take off his sunglasses in a dark room.
Yeah. Well, he's an alien.
You're a rock star. That's why.
Yeah.
Total rock star.
When I make my list of best shows and worst shows at the casino.
What's your best?
The best was the best show. Well, the best one was the one that I got to do with Lenny and Kenny Rogerson.
There you go. The one that you were in.
That was the one that I was in. Was one of the most amazing shows. I've seen a few Ramones shows that just blew me away, because it was just, here's 3 hours of songs. We're gonna do it in 45 minutes, and then you guys go fuck yourself. It's just it was just awesome. But I think those Ramones shows were probably the best shows, and I've seen the Bosstones there a few times. They were amazing. And then my other second worst is I saw the Counting Crows there, and they were god awful.
Awful.
And I remember going, these guys were the top of the world at one point, and this is so bad right now. It's just like they didn't even want to be there.
It's amazing.
Oh, I know. Joe Walsh, man. Couple of years ago, Joe Walsh completely brought the fastball. He was phenomenal. Yeah.
Years and years of working up at that radio station, WHUB. I lived there for summer after summer with all these shows, because we hosted it, Greg in the Morning Buzz, and all that happy shit.
That room has a resume.
Oh my God. And the vantage point. So I, got to intro a ton of bands, and back to the story about the burgers, A, I worked at a radio station, but B, always this guard like the Red Bull, this one, like, didn't matter. Next thing you know, come on in every single fucking show. Yeah. And some of I like all kinds of music, but I'll lean more to some of the heavier rock. Seven Dust used to always blow my fucking mind in that building, because it was a 25-seat venue, and just fucking Seven Dust can throw down.
Yeah,
I used to go there so much with my parents. So that, before the time I was 12, the amount of times I saw Casey and the Sunshine Band in that room,
little different than Seven Dust. Little different than Seven Dust.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, I mean the Monkees. Mark Fonner.
I saw the Fools there 100 times.
Oh my God!
When they had the all ages shows, my parents would let me go see the Fools at night, screaming Psycho Chicken on my way out.
I'm taking some more notes here, guys. Josh, Casey and the Sunshine Band. What the fuck?
They're probably back out there. Everybody's touring right now. They're probably out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Did you see Alice Cooper, Josh? They didn't take you to see Cooper up there.
No, that was only in Lowell. I'd go see Alice Cooper in Lowell, but no, that was the oldies 103.3 crowd that my parents would always bring me to. But two of the best shows I ever saw up there was probably Bill Burr, not a music one. Bill Burr destroyed that, and it wasn't even sold out, which is crazy. It was like half the crowd was sold out, and then probably boxing.
Oh, boxing was always
great
fun.
Boxing up there.
I was the ring announcer for something called Super Fights up there, long time ago, and that was a disaster.
Train wreck.
One of the fight of the years up there was Mickey Ward versus Gotti was there.
Yeah, that's in the movie too, right?
Yes, yeah, it is.
That's in the movie. Yeah, I've seen some amazing shows up there, and I mean, I worked every one of those rackets as a kid. I worked at the arcades, and I worked at the
those are awesome
skee ball thing, and all of that. When I was a kid, that was my whole summer was down on Hampton.
Were you a bouncer for that lady with the firing gun, and then if anyone ever took a picture, everything would go off, and then you'd have to throw them?
They'd come in with the snap thing and take the picture, and the big bird would go, "Erk, erk." Yeah, we'd put napkins in the token machines and get 4 tokens out of
Oh
it.
God, yeah.
If they had them turn the wrong, I used to get my arm stuck up the soda machines trying to steal sodas out of there. And, like I knew the donut lady would after 8 o'clock you could get anything you wanted in there for a dime, and I had every racket on that beach, man. Yeah,
I thought about that huge arcade last year because you're sitting at home just thinking about all the fucking shit we couldn't do, and no bullshit. That arcade to me blew my mind because you'd go in there. And the original Pac-Man, the original Budweiser game where the beers would fall down and slide across, and fucking tap room, and just like, and I was one of those things last year. I was kind of like, fuck, like we can't go into like a place like that where I can't wait to go back up there and just touch everything in that room.
Yeah, and I can't see all Beatles cover band across the street with a bunch of old guys.
And every mass hole from fucking Revere is up here in Hampton.
They're all up there, and with the cars with the tailpipes and the pop, pop, pop. You stand on the North Beach, right? And the Pease Air Force Base is right up, it's right up the street. So some of the most powerful military equipment in the world will fly overhead from time to time, right? So you'd be looking out at the beach and you'd be like, and you go, oh, shit, is that an F-16? And you look behind you and you go, oh, fuck no, it's a Honda Civic. with the tailpipe like this, and you just go, I get it, man. I like cars, but what's with the pop, pop, pops?
And just go around.
And it's always the Honda Civic. It's never a cool car.
It's always a Civic with a big wing to keep the ass end down. You don't want that thing getting away from you when you go around the corner.
And they're all from Leominster or Fitchburg.
Right?
No, they're not.
You talked about Pease Air Force Base. Yep. You play golf?
I don't. I hate golf.
All right.
For you.
No. The point is,
I hate golf. I've pretended for years that I care about golf.
You
I
don't.
get invited to the charity golf tournaments, and about the 8th or 9th hole, I go, fuck this. I'm hungry. Let's get out of here.
He only likes golf when he's riding it into Loudermilk.
So. Exactly.
Right.
And I
Jackie
hate
Flynn, right? Jackie Flynn's a golf freak.
And Jack's a really good golfer too. But yeah, the Loudermilk going, I just don't get this. That was me. Yeah.
That's Mike Hsu. He hates golf. He likes the disc golf. The point I was making is Pease golf course right by that airport you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right after I was working up there, right after 9/11, I'm playing on that course, and you've never seen so many fucking adult-sized military things fucking whip right over your. All those giant planes that are the ones that carry the fuel, and then all the just like we're playing, and it was just this constant. I'm like, someone's going to fuck somebody up bad.
Yeah,
like, it was fucking it's scary being next to an Air Force base of that size, and that's not even an active one anymore.
No, it is active, but you're right. It's not active in that sense. But when they come back when stuff comes back from Europe,
Yep.
It's the first stop. It's the closest stop. So
the runway's active, but like all the building, it's not like it was back in the 80s.
But they'll stop and refuel it all the time. So I got a buddy that's a photographer. He's really into taking pictures of that stuff, and he catches amazing photos of some of the.
You could just sit under that golf course, I swear to God, and just be like, "What the fuck?" You think normal 747s are big? You look at one of those refueling planes. I had a chance to go up in one of those with this radio thing we did and sit in that. Not the cockpit, but the ball underneath that actually someone has a joystick and it goes down and it feeds the F-17s or whatever they're called like they're hummingbirds.
Yeah.
These fucking things are zipping around and you're looking out the window going, I'm so glad I'm on this fucking side. And then you get to go down and you watch them just go, they pop right up, they refuel, the guy gives you the thumbs up, boom, gone to kill somebody.
You know what, Isaiah, I was just reading, they have they're drones now.
No shit.
Yeah, these giant tanker fucking
planes.
drones.
Nobody's in them.
Nobody's in them.
That's fucked up.
And they're just flying around up there, and the planes fly up to them, and the guys he's somewhere in like Tampa or whatever.
Jesus.
He's doing it by remote control. You know,
flies up. They swipe their debit card and they hit regular, and then
exactly.
Wow.
You want a car wash? No, I don't want a car wash.
I said yes to the receipt. Why is
give a value card? You know,
it's fucked up. They're drones, and there's not one human in those things. Are
I know they're
small
cities, flying fucking tankers. They're just filled with just giant things of gasoline. You know,
it's definitely scary. I read some stories of after doing that mission with them and to talk to some of those people. That's one of the scariest things to operate because if you're over enemy territory, that's what they'll shoot for because it's a flying bomb. And that's the fuel for the planes that keep shooting down our cities or whatever. And that's fucked up. And it doesn't surprise me, but I never thought those would go to drones. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I spilled a lot of gas in the air. So no wonder it's a drone because I'm spilling gas everywhere.
I got to land on the Peace Air Force Base strip in a 1940s biplane.
Oh, wow.
Fun.
A buddy of mine has an old biplane. It's like 1940 something. And it was a trainer. It was a Navy trainer, and it's an old Navy plane. And so somehow he fuels up over there, but he's got permission to come in every now and then. And he's like, "Oh, let's go land at Peace. It's the coolest thing."
Does he have is it the open biplane or is it enclosed? It's open.
It's all open. You wear the old timey hats and
the goggles and stuff.
Your face is flapping, and then you come down and you land on that thing next to those F-16s, and then when you bring it over to the fuel tank, and the guys who work on the F-16s are like, "This is the coolest plane here."
Right.
They love the old plane, and I'm like, I want to go up in that thing, man.
I know it's like a.
Does he ever land on the? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Hsu.
I was just saying it's like pulling up a '77 Datsun to a Tesla.
Right.
You know, still has the crank windows and an AM radio in it and stuff. And they're like, this thing's the best. Yeah.
Does he ever land on that grass runway in Hampton?
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's where he keeps it. Yeah, that's the guy.
Oh, okay. Because I've been in a biplane on that grass runway when I was maybe like a teenager or whatever, but I didn't know what the pilot was going to do, and he started doing all crazy shit when we went up, and I was like, now I'm looking at my parents like, why did you let me go in that plane? I mean, it's a convertible airplane, and he's going upside down. That's
there's an airstrip right up here with those little planes, and my wife won't let me go get my pilot's license because this was her quote: "I know you. Once you get your license, you won't go buy a nice plane. You'll go buy an old piece of shit plane that you think you can fix."
A new plane.
She goes, "You can try and fix old cars. You could play with your old trucks, but you are not buying an old plane.
Stay on the ground,
especially with a grass runway."
I did a thing with the Red Baron Pizza. Stunt flyers in the 90s. I was working at a radio station in Richmond, Virginia. So they show up and they're beautiful. They're like the World War I looking biplanes.
Yeah.
And so my partner and I got to go up with them and experience the whole, acrobat flying thing. It's amazing how quiet when they start on the ground, it's like a lawnmower and you're like, this isn't lifting us off anywhere. But when you get up in the air, it's like how slow and quiet it is. It's almost like you're in a balloon or something. And then, so the guy, before we get on, the guy gives me a parachute, and it's not like one of those, packed nylon parachute things, right? It's like this old flat. It looks like a small futon. So I'm putting it on, and I was like, "What do I do with this?" He goes, "Okay, well, if there's trouble, I'll just tell you to get out. And what you have to do is walk to the end of the wing, and then just let go.
What?
And then the pull thing is right here. So just pull that. After you let go, just pull that, and the parachute will come out." And I'm like, okay, just stroll out to the end of the wing if the plane's spiraling out of control. Okay, yeah, I got that. He was like, and he said it like it just, none of this matters. I'm just moving my lips. We're all going to die.
He said it like you're not supposed to have a certain amount of hours jumping with someone attached to you before you can have your own free fall. He just said it like it was a life preserver in a canoe.
That was it, man.
That's what I like about both. Yeah, that's what I like about both of these is like the refueling plane, which is one of the most dangerous jobs in aviation, and then the biplane, which was built literally 80 years ago. Right. And they go, should we have some training with these guys? No, fuck them. They're in radio. That's fine.
Nobody cares.
That's it.
Yeah.
They just go, no, is he certified? No, but he's with the radio station. Oh, okay.
He's got hands, so he can pull the lever, right? Yeah, and so he did this thing where it was like, I don't know if he did with you, Josh, but they go straight up in the air and then they shut the engine off.
Yes, that's what he did to me, and I was like, this can't be okay.
And twirl out of control, and I'm just thinking the whole time, okay, here's the lever. How am I going to walk out on the wing with the plane going like this? That's all I'm thinking the whole time. And then
with just like a waist seatbelt, not
Jesus
like
Christ.
a just a click,
right? And
like a 68 Camaro seatbelt.
Yes. And it's a little loose.
Right. Yeah, it is. It was just like, here, put this on. You're supposed to put this on. He was just like, whatever. It's if we're going down, we're gonna die anyway. So might as well.
If I'm gonna die, you're gonna die. So I don't give a shit. It's not like you're gonna get out and I'm not.
We're going down hard, kid.
Those safety measures were made when America was America.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes, when men were men.
Hi, I'm Chris, owner of Garage Doors Plus. We specialize in custom garage doors, sales, service, and installation. So whatever you may be looking for, we can help. Financing is available, so if it's time to give your garage and home a lift, call us at Garage Doors Plus, 617-458-1148. You can also find us at gdplus.com. That's gdplus.com. Garage Doors Plus. We open doors when you can't.
Right. What do we need to do, Jimmy? What do we need to do to make sure Loudermilk gets another fucking season?
Good question. I would tweet out to Sony TV and to Amazon and to Amazon and say, "Man, I love Loudermilk." But any kind of tweet makes plenty of noise. They like.
I've been doing that while watching it. I've been tweeting like the Jackie Flynn thing, explaining. Just my praise of Brian Regan and stuff. And I tag Amazon and
that's the best.
So just gotta keep the buzz going out there. I always try to recommend it when I can.
You said you're in the world of obviously you're in the know with what's going on. How does that, who's going to know first and when? I mean, the season's out, so it's not, they know who's watching it, who's seen it, right?
I don't know how that. I really don't know how that works. In my world, that happens when I get a call from the producers saying, "Hey, we're going to do another season." Hopefully that happens. The last couple times it's happened after the COVID thing sort of messed up.
Everything.
But one of the other things that people don't realize happened is there were all these movie and television projects that were set to be made, right? So they were all set to go, and then they didn't get made because of COVID. So they got a stack of projects that already have a sort of a green light, but they just haven't gone to make them yet. And then there was a bunch of stuff that was supposed to be released in the theaters that they didn't put out because they wanted to wait.
Right.
So now that stuff's getting put out now. So it's kind of like the concert thing right now. There's the first batch of concerts right now were sold 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And they just kept pushing those shows going 3 months out, 3 months out. Now they're putting those up. So none of the new shows have gone up yet. Most of those are the shows that people already had tickets on. And it's the same thing with television. I don't know that a lot of new TV stuff will be made until they put this other stuff out. But I really don't know, who makes that decision with sitcom television. They make most of those decisions in May for what goes on in the fall for network TV. But as far as streaming stuff, it could go anytime. But I would just say, if you like it, tweet out there and tell people. And if you're listening right now and you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Loudermilk.
Perfect mix of great writing and great acting, and just and not overdoing it.
Out loud laughing though, like that's I like it. There's nothing like, and I'm trying to find something. Believe me, if I could fucking say it was like something, it's the first episode I watched. I thought, there's Ron playing Sam, doing that character from Office Space times 10.
Yeah.
Like the second half of the movie when he goes from, when he's hip, he's like, I don't give a fuck attitude. This is I don't give a fuck times 50.
Yeah. That's the beauty of the whole show. Nobody gives a fuck.
Nobody gives a fuck at all. But then again, as we talked about, it kind of works in the emotional and the real, because each of them have some serious dark fucking shit as addicts that they have to deal with. But I can't think of anything that it's like. It's like when you mentioned Everybody Loves Raymond, there fucking aren't shows like that anymore. The closest thing to that recently was Modern Family.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And but there's just not anything that's like the studio audience, the thing, because no disrespect to network TV, but it's fucking garbage. It's daytime and nighttime soap operas. Everybody's pretty. We're all wearing Gucci. The one that LL Cool J, I love LL Cool J as an artist. That fucking show he's in is dog shit. Because every fucking line that he does with Robin from Batman is like, ready, go, ready, go, ready,
but
go.
not even the show not being like anything else. It's also like the performances, like we were saying, like Brian Regan, and then like even Will Sasso has like some emotional moments, and like
Sasso's on season 2. Sasso's unbelievable.
Oh, he is.
He's so good, and that guy can make the smallest thing so funny. Once I get his rhythm in my head and I'm writing jokes, I just know how.
But like when he's like laughing, picking the phone up and stuff, good. And just like the little details.
The ex-wife marrying the ex-wife was like, are you fucking kidding me?
And the way that was misdirected all year too. Like you didn't see it until you didn't see it till literally he opened the door.
Yeah,
right.
That was
right.
And that's that's just some great writing. Those guys.
There was one line of his in that pool episode, we'll call it your Lizzie Pool episode, where once Sam was saying to his character, told him what happened. He's like, well, let's find her on Facebook. And he spins it around. And within 1 second, oh shit, this might be a memorial. Oh no, she's fine. She's alive. It was like 1 second of like, she's alive. She's fine. She's down. Oh fuck, is this a memorial? Nope, she's alive. There was a post 2 days ago. I was like,
great acting.
Dude, he's
such great acting. Any
just
other actor
whack and you're gone.
But any other actor would just would just draw that out to try and slam that joke. And the brilliance of Will is, and this comes back to Lenny and Gavin, those guys, how you can just throw 3 jokes away. And if you don't catch them, that's on you.
And I don't think people realize like how good he really is. I got to see him work. I was on the set of a sitcom he was on called Shit My Dad Says, that he did with William Shatner and Nicole Sullivan from Mad TV. I forget who else was on the show. Yeah, but like to see him do like the original take of something, and then they would throw him lines, and I'd be like, the way he did it was funny. And then he would do the line that they threw him, and it would be even funnier. Like I remember there being one line in this scene on that sitcom about it was something about chocolate, and they kept throwing him this line about like, oh, is the chocolate in the drawer? And I was like, that's not funny. Why would you give him that line? But the way he would like, he would be like rehearsing it, and I could see him saying it over and over. And then once the cameras were on and he'd hit it, I'd be like, holy shit. He's awesome.
Watching a taping of a live sitcom with a live studio audience is it's an amazing experience.
It really is.
I mean, that was of everything that I've done from when I first started doing stand-up till yesterday, those 15 episodes of that sitcom and that Friday tape night with 300 New Kids on the Block fans just laughing at anything we say, it was just incredible. And I've had laughs in theaters, and I've had people laugh at me in bars and whatever. There's no laugh better than the one that comes when there's 3 cameras on you, and it's going to be out on CBS next week, and you just nailed this punchline that some brilliant writer wrote. And
is it exhausting though? Because that taping that I went to for that, I was there for one episode of that show, and it was it was an all day. I got there in the morning. I left, and the sun was down. So it was like,
no, it's a long day, but it's not exhausting at all because you're just so high from the whole thing.
You're exhausted afterwards.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We used to go out afterwards and eat a big stupid meal we go out, get breakfast, and then.
Where'd you guys film?
I would sleep halfway through Saturday. We filmed on the Sony TV lot in Culver City on stage 28, where they did Married with Children and King of Queens.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I had Bud Bundy's dressing room.
Yeah, I think they filmed that Shit My Dad Said's thing on the same sound stage as like Warner Brothers is crazy. The history there, they're like, yeah, Blazing Saddles was filmed here. Friends was filmed in this stage.
Oh yeah, you'd see everybody. I mean, when you're on the campus, you would see, there's 28 other shows or 30 other stages going on. And we were right next to Jeopardy, and we Shark Tank was next door. We used to sneak in and watch them taping the Shark Tank. We would see Cuban all the time walking. I mean, you'd see famous people all the time, but for 4 or 5 weeks, I had my picture on this giant billboard on the side of the parking garage. And you drive in, and the security guard go, "You got a pass?" And they go, "I don't need a pass, my man. My head is right there." It was the best gig ever, man. And maybe I get to do it again, maybe I don't, but I got to do it. So it was the best.
You're running in the right crowd, that's for sure.
Yeah, and some of the people, all of them, the cast members became, and this doesn't happen usually, but they all became really, really good friends. In fact, the guy who played my dad, Jack McGee,
I love Jack.
Jack was on Rescue Me, and Jack McGee's just the best. But next week he's sleeping in that room right behind me. He's coming up here to hang out.
Oh, really?
Nice. That's awesome.
2 days, and we've become really tight. And same with Joey Mack and Tyler Ritter and Kellen, and so it was just an awesome experience.
The first time I met Jack McGee, he refereed a street hockey game I played in at City Hall Plaza with Dennis Leary.
Big hockey guy. Jack's a huge hockey fan.
He's a great ref.
He's a big Rangers guy, and we would go to the games all the time out in LA, which was just a weird thing, just watching hockey in LA. There was a point when they were really good, but we went to one of those outdoor games that they had at Dodger Stadium.
Oh, that's weird.
I don't play with your head.
It was so bizarre because it was like 75 degrees.
Right.
These guys are out playing on ice, and in between, not just one period, in between every period, there was a Kiss concert. It was like some sort of weird LA carnival around a hockey game, and it was just absolutely insane. Wow. But Jack loves hockey. He'll call me all the time. During the playoffs when the Bruins were in, he would call me, "Hey, your boys aren't doing so." He loved giving me a hard time. But huge hockey guy.
Nice.
That's awesome. So where do you have any shows coming up?
Yeah, in about 5 hours, I'll be down at the Grog in Newburyport. Gotta get a quick nap in.
Go get those tickets.
Gotta get a quick nap in. No, we're sold out tonight. But
not if one of us shows up, you'll remember.
You guys can get in. Oh yeah, your radio guys. They were on the airplanes.
Right, we survived.
I can fly a plane.
Yeah, no, but down the Grog tonight, and then I got a bunch of. It's just kind of getting back in, but I got a bunch of shows. I got 2 of those Boston Comedy All-Star shows called the Boston Comedy Blowout. Got one down at the Cape Cod Melody Tent.
Nice.
And then the other one is at the Cohasset, what is that one called? Music Circus?
Yes. That's the Music Circus. Yeah,
another one of those big tents. But I got those 2 big shows this summer. Those are in August. And I got a bunch of theaters around New England, and then it really ramps back up in the fall. So
are you at Laugh Boston? Did I see that?
I'm at Laugh Boston the night after the New Kids. So this is my association with the New Kids on the Block. Because of
second mention.
Oh, I'm a blockhead because of Joey and I, and because of the show. All these New Kids on the Block fans became fans of the McCarthys, and then they would come see me do stand up if I was in whatever city. So the New Kids are playing Fenway on the Friday night, and so the Saturday night I'm playing Laugh Boston because there's going to be.
And the New Kids on the Block will be there?
I don't believe any of the actual new kids will be there, but all of the fans hopefully will.
Well, because the one kid's got to go film his HGTV show, but the rest of them might be free, right?
They all got shows. He's got that show. Joey's son has a show now. So Joey's son is on a sitcom, and he's
really,
he's awesome on it. He's really good. But obviously, New Kids on the Block, not my musical thing, but I get to meet all of them because of the show, and really great guys. And I get it; they have really passionate fans. And they couldn't have been cooler to me. So
it helps your ticket sales. So
I'm a big fan of the Blockheads, man. They've all been good to me. Well, we're talking about the studio audience at the sitcom thing. Most sitcom audiences are ticket giveaways and tourists and people that want to go see a TV show. But with our show, because Joey was on the show, the Blockheads know how to get tickets, and so they would get all the tickets. So the audience was just all New Kids fans.
Oh my God.
So we had this crazy audience that just people that had been in the sitcom business for 30 years would come in and go, how'd you get this audience so hot? And it's like, they're all here to see Joey Mack.
That kid.
You're the only sitcom with no warm-up comedian.
We had a warm-up comedian, but Joey would every now and then just take the mic away from the guy and go, I got to get this going. And he'd just take the mic and start. He had me do that stupid dance that they do. And he goes, I've seen that dance done a million times. I've never seen it worse than Jimmy Dunn. He has no regret. I'm like, I'll take that as badge, man. I'm okay with that.
So what? Do you want a lobster or not?
Yeah, exactly.
So they go to where can people go to see where you're playing and stuff like that?
Just you can go to jimmydunn.com. My dates are there, and that bio that says I'm really funny.
Oh, no. Hold on. It's Jimmy Dunn with 2 N's.com. Go to actor. It clearly states, and I'll wrap with this. Jimmy Dunn is Jimmy Dunn is a very funny comic actor.
There you go. I read it on the internet.
I read it on his website.
Right. Gotta be true. It's on the web.
All right, Jimmy. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure. I had a lot of fun. Good to see you guys.
Take care, man. Go
We'll see you at the
Loudermilk.
casino ballroom.
You got it.